Hello folks, this is Wodi back again. Today's going to be pretty different. Okay, I'm not sure if it is that different or not. But I'm going to talk about my former parody characters, Floaty and Inflatable. I am aware that the parody channel craze died down years back for good reason. Even when, spoilers, I also left the IGUA parody channel craze back in 2019 to focus on different types of videos to do. For those who aren't in the know about these kinds of parody channels, the IGUA and other user group ones are meant to make fun of wily actions and attitudes of the members who are part of these groups. It mainly started by mocking a long-dead group called the Integral Good Users Alliance, who are known for taking trolls like the best channel out of proportion, as well as raging about various infamous movies and games. I have watched some infamous movies such as Ratatouille, which is a rip-off of Ratatouille, which is a great movie, and Food Fight, and I genuinely dislike them. But besides some being obvious cash grabs, they shouldn't be treated like it's the bane of our existence. Same goes for those other shows and video games which have been trashed on to death for ages, but I digress. The parody character Bandwagon started when a former YouTuber, IGUA, made his parody character Darky Mario 64, who is well known for his rage fit over certain things, like cartoons having mean-spirited humour and non-realistic cartoony stuff in a stereotypical man-child fashion. I pretty much enjoyed the series despite it being long gone after the creator's channel was closed. Sometime later, some similar characters were created in early 2016, which were more focused on parodying those infamous user group types I mentioned earlier. My introductions to parody characters aside from Darky Mario was with BracketNeutron's Shows Remorse Yes, Teen Titans Go with the Nutsack No, also known as Cool Guy Established 2001. No, not Estate. And Automatic's Morals Yes, Critically Panned Cartoons No, which were some relatively well-known parody characters since 2016. This led me to join the bandwagon as I thought it was cool to pretend to be a parody character making fun of various IGUA members. Thus, Floaty and Inflatable came to fruition. However, before they were created as parody characters, Floaty himself was created before that, during the time of Morals Yes' creation. The video titled Fake Floaty the Clown was about Floaty the inflatable clown going to the Never Dweller studio set without Nighty or Thomas's permission, crashing the party if you will. I'm not going to spoil anything else, but I'll link it in the description so you can see it for yourself. I did add some characters and people being used as YTP sources. Michael Rosen and I are made to be specific. It may seem like a YTP, but it's more of an intentionally bad animation and a nonsensical project of mine I've been planning to do. Also has my first Sonus appearance for that matter. I'm not saying it's one of the best works I've ever done, but I found myself enjoying it. After that video, Floaty was brought back, but as an IGUA parody character, with his username being Floaty the Inflatable Good User Guy or Cartoons with Morals 99 Swell. Fun fact, the beginning of the latter username was inspired by the beginning part of BracketNeutron's first Shows with Morals Yes video on his old channel, where he said Cartoons with Morals instead of Shows with Morals as he goes by for the majority of the series.
Hello guys, this is, Cartoons with Morals Yes, Teen Titans Go and the Nutsack No.
Floaty's parody character period lasted around June to November 2016. I even opened up a parody account before closing it after a few months. Those old videos, however, have been re-uploaded to this channel. I did enjoy some, if not most of the series, but not as much as the fake Floaty video I made earlier that year. The first of the Floaty parody saga videos was his commentary on BracketNeutron's now disowned Starfish Network rant. That was uploaded on his then new current channel, due to his first account being inaccessible because of an automatic sign-out from Google. The Starfish Network claimed to have plenty of shows that the people behind it did not own, like Gravity Falls, The Loud House, Steven Universe, and Wonder Over Yonder for example. Unless they're asking for permission. If this ended up being a real channel, they'd likely get sued by the owners of those properties, since they're not the sole creators of these set shows. I get that it's a made up channel, but the fact that they want it to be a real channel is kinda over the top, shall I say. Maybe because they aired shows from other companies like I've said, and had little content other than that. I was like that when I was little. Back at the topic at hand, this is one of the best ones so far. Floaty tried proving Bracket wrong on the rant, but ended up being all worked up over his view on the network, standard for the parody channel commentary format. Floaty wasn't completely worthless though. He was one of, if not the only parody character to actually go outside, while most parody characters live in their basement or room and being locals. That's why I typed this when SWM said, "Why does Arm hate us?"
There's so much rain in my country and I'm sick and fucking tired of preventing to go outside, so I'm gonna sing a song.
I did add an annotation about the one loud part saying to turn down the volume when he screamed, but since annotations died not too long ago, it makes it pretty hard because you'd be jumped by the loud scream after hearing Bracket's voice. The ending part is a meme I did where my first owner didn't improve on my old parody character self, albeit on my old style. I feel that it was a good beginning so far. The second one was an intentionally bad animation of my first owner, Wodi, blowing up an inflatable Wodi toy. The Floaty sees it and catches him, which caused him to be grounded for just inflating a toy. It was a parody of the Grounded series format, one which has stuck around for almost 10 years. While content of that kind is still being made, it has run its course, especially when Vyond's legacy video maker discontinued. Most of them would later be done on places like Plotagon, which is essentially a more limited Vyond in 3D. I amped up the weirdness as Floaty made Wodi look at his funny face while playing circus music and clown sounds. The most hypocritical thing he did was that he loves inflatables, yet he supposedly grounded Wodi for inflating a Wodi toy. I guess it was his least favourite inflatable. You can tell that I was not into the grounded video series, so I had to make a parody of it before the Go Anime commentary scene became samey and monotonous. Not to mention reusing the same statements like waste of time or it's their opinion, among others. Vyond isn't that bad of a site, but it's more aimed at business environments rather than as a proper animation service. You'd be better off using Animator 2 Boom or even Critter since it has an animation feature. It's not complete without its randomness at the end, because I would make random little segments at the end when I was bored. A friend of mine on DA Lyrics said this, boredom makes you do things. This was also the first video to have a long outro, parodying other parody intros that were needlessly long. I couldn't find a bad song at the time, so I settled with some experimental interlude-ish songs, using the Ucreate music toy I've had since 2009, which has some of the best effects I've used. Generic beats but fun to mess around with. Then there's the CWM Watches Wodi video, which is basically Floaty holding a grudge against me and watching some of my videos and calling my YouTube posts with fast-paced editing and bright colours tempered videos. Some of the phrases he said were pretty much inspired by some of Stephen Larson's old videos, which I archived.
I'm a Wodienfor. You're under arrest.
And you can't do that. You're under arrest for buying YouTube Chop Police.
Well, guess what? BracketNeutron 37 sucks.
Well, guess what? They'll cut the police sucks.
Oh, wait a second. I want to see for a voice.
Wait a second, about to see for voice.
Okay, seriously, a music's crappy.
Okay, seriously, a music stolen.
Alright, the music's crappy is a crappy music.
A music stolen, it's a stolen music.
I did appear in the video as a cameo appearance. However, I would like to say something about this part.
You like Fanboy and Chum Chum, don't deny it.
Denied. I was one of the people who hated Fanboy and Chum Chum in the past, all because of the hate base surrounding it. Now I've watched some of it, and I actually don't find it as bad as some people made it out to be. The next video, and probably his final video on his channel, was his interview with Automatic's parody channel, Morals Yet Critically Panned Cartoons No. But I made a clown version of his, which looks a lot like Floaty and my clown OC Mikey in some way. Nevertheless, the video is quite different because parody characters doing interviews is quite rare. And I've been wanting to do that video since the parody channel I mentioned was one of the inspirations for Floaty's old self. I will point out one part about the bad users part that Morals Yes likes Nemo 333M, and that was before I heard the controversy towards Nemo and Automatic before he closed all of his channels. The video is still interesting, of course. Also this. Randoms galore. After a few weeks, I've lost some motivation to make more Floaty videos, so I closed my parody channel. It had a good run, but it had run its course due to the IGUA becoming less relevant at the time, which in turn made Floaty turn a new leaf and become a decorator and a proper clown at the circus, while his brother goes insane. He's also been to therapy and got help by his parents. Despite the spelling mistakes, it's a change of heart for Floaty, but the parody craze hasn't stopped for me yet. As of now, most of the Floaty videos were now on my main channel, so you can watch them. Inflatable gets his own parody series too, but unlike Floaty, the videos were only on this channel because I didn't want to make a separate channel for him at the time. Inflato's series, however, isn't as funny as the Floaty one, but it has its moments and I still had some fun working on it. My personal least favourite was the one where he revealed his voice. It didn't sound all that right and funny to me, but I did actually like how I added the background, which is a plus. I tried using my voice to sound like a clown or a high-pitched one, but my voice acting is below average and needs some more practice. We all gotta start somewhere. I also like how he mispronounced my old Ilva master name, which I guess is also a saving grace to that video. That and the lack of the Gramercy's talk. I put the Loud House picture in the background because I portray him as a big fan of the Loud House. Well, I was a fan of the Loud House before. I still like the show, but I don't like it as much as I used to, because of the infamous and gross fandom, but I still like it. I prefer some other Nicktoons such as Rocco and SpongeBob to name a few. Definitely the weakest Inflatable parody video I've made, but I wouldn't say it's the worst video I've made. It was unlisted because I was embarrassed by that video, when I could have kept the video up regardless. The automatic random Morals Yes salute is better because of the grammar fail and the minimal editing, despite mentioning the wrong person when I mentioned that Matthew Davis' name for Brackett's sake, when it was for Matthew's sake, and the same immaturity throughout the rant. Can't love this part.
His name is Rock.
Hello Rock. I also love the ending part, which has potential to become a separate solo YTPMV. Inflatable Lord 123 was one hell of a name for Inflato, though. Heck, even some of the Inflatable drawings I did in the past are randomly interesting to draw. I tried drawing it intentionally bad, but it came out better than I expected. Usually the parody characters are drawn badly for shits and giggles. Yes, I cussed. But mine drew it more fine and less scribbled. The Wodi rant, while being an ego booster, is around the same deal as the Otto and Morals Yes video. Just the same immature self he was, but it was his first video of the series. I also said at the end that Inflato had a date with a jumbo inflatable monkey after the end of his rant, imitating Movie Maker outros. Spoilers, it happened with another character. I came up with that because of the odd part of the inflatable community, since some like to help claim that the inflatables are real animals. I like inflatables, but they're just rubber air-filled objects. The only way they talk is if they're in a cartoon or something. My personal favourite video of the series is a video of him blowing up some inflatables, but with a twist. What makes the video interesting was the weird stuff he says while inflating some stuff, making this oddly weird and surreal than expected, not like some loco person. I didn't make any videos on Inflato in a while because the parody channel craze was dying down, plus I focused on other things rather than that said series. Floaty and Inflato were redesigned in my actual drawing style but scrapped due to lack of interest. I did practice in making them less samey in that picture. A little bit samey, but it's a start. After a year or so, I got the idea of ending the Floaty and Inflatable series with an interesting story. It's one of the biggest projects I've ever done, and surprisingly one of the best parodies videos I've done, if not the best. Rather than ending it on a cliffhanger and spoilers, I did it on a high note. I don't regret most of the parody videos I've done, but since the parody channels have died down, I'd give the series one last hurrah before I change Inflato from a weird lolcow into a proud clown brother and being a decorative assistant to Floaty while regretting his past actions. I could have done the video earlier due to the irrelevancy of the bandwagon, but better late than never, I suppose. Loco Loud, on the other hand, didn't rage much or say grounded threats for comedy. Just a silly little weird clown who's more messed up than Inflato. And the Hey Loud crowd part was taken from Lincoln Loud's introduction, since he was a major fan of Lincoln. Let's just say he stole it. I also made Floaty and Inflato as my actual OCs too, which in turn are given some changes and redesigns, which is another plus. And that's the parody series I did. I don't regret the parody series, like I said. And I did enjoy myself making this series and coming up with some witty and weird jokes, mixing in with some typical IGUA-like quotes you hear every day. The bandwagon ended a while ago after some people complained about parody channels being formulaic and stale. I also seen some parody channels that use the same Microsoft Sam voice being high-pitched in a lot of parody channels, which is kind of redundant given how it sounded like a clone of Morals Yes, and they tend to say the same things that other parody channels say, instead of coming up with witty jokes, which lack the charm of them. The Floaty and Inflatable series was one hell of a ride, but I still have fun with other human film videos like YTPs and other kinds of videos. and a loud clown too. It has run its course, but I'd never forget making them. Hopefully you enjoyed this kind of informative video about the series, and how it came to be when the parody scene is blowing up. This is Wody saying bye to all, and I hope you all have a good day.